What's up, YouTube? It's Ben with Underrated Garage. I'm here with my 06 350Z drift car, and it's got some goodies on it, but it's also got a few issues and a couple things missing before I'm really confident in drifting this thing. So let's get started. Let's see what we're working with. So we're gonna unbox some of the goodies that are going on in this video. All new brake rotors and brake pad kits for the front and rear. Brake caliper rebuild kits, front sway bar bushings, they were blown out. This box is the real goodies. This is the GK Tech stuff. So it already has a GK Tech angle kit on the front and the Super Lock lower control arms. And we're both fixing those parts up with some new Heim joints, but we're also doing some other upgrades. So GK Tech's braided brake lines. Like I said, all new Heim joints and boots and everything, just to kind of restore that angle kit. So this is their dual caliper brackets. So you know what that means. She's getting a hydro. Got a nice GK Tech full hydro kit with the dual calipers. Let's get to jacking this car up in the air and get to it. Working in a tight garage here, but gotta make do with what we got. That was easy.
Still looks crushed.
Yeah, but so she's all up in the air with the wheels off. I'll get back to you when we're tearing this baby apart and getting this build started. I'm gonna start by taking all the brakes off. Then we're gonna start getting the lower control arm, the knuckle, and everything off because it's all getting refreshed. Pop the brake line off the caliper and let the brake fluid drain out. Okay, it's one caliper. Time to start taking the steering and suspension off. Take the tie rods off and apart. The coilover mount off the lower control arm. The sway bar mount off the lower control arm. Pop this knuckle off. She gonna be naked. Alright, got the upper ball joint out of the knuckle, taking the lower out, and this thing will be off. Knuckles off, and that is the most clapped lower ball joint ever, except for maybe one that completely broke and almost killed 2 people on their way to buy a car.
All right. This
But
is not roast all my cars.
It's very clapped. So we have brand new ones we're replacing those with. Now, GK Tech lower control arm is out. So it's got some beat up Heim joints that did not have dust boots on them, so they're disgusting. Clapped old coilover bushings. We're cleaning everything up. We're replacing all those connections, and I'm even going to blast the grime and rust off and get a fresh coat of paint on these, so it's going to be like a brand new angle kit. It's all going to be brand new. So that sucked to do without like a hydraulic press or anything, but both knuckles have new lower ball joints in them, so that is a good thing. Definitely needed that. Both GK Tech lower control arms are now fully stripped. I'm going to be cleaning, hopefully sandblasting, stripping these things down, putting a fresh coat of paint back on them. So I'm tearing the rear of the car apart now to get set up for the dual caliper kit for the Hydro e-brake. Okay, getting somewhere. Axle is disconnected.
Is that your baby? Just gave birth.
So we've got the dual caliper bracket mocked up on the dust shield. Just gonna make some marks and then make some cuts with my least favorite tool, the angle grinder. So now that the dust shield's been modified for the second caliper to fit, we can start lining everything up here to get this dual caliper bracket on. Just like that. So that'll put your factory caliper here and the hydro caliper right over here. And this, slide right over. Just like that. So you still have somewhat of a dust shield, protect from stuff at the bottom and a little bit at the top. But now, I've got 4 calipers in the rear of the car instead of just 2. Let's put that through there. Start the nuts on the back. We're making pretty good progress on the back here. So I sandblasted and painted up these GK Tech lower control arms, and now I'm going to be reassembling everything on them. Just going to be pressing the brand new coilover bearing into the control arm here. Now it's in. GK Tech sells boots for them. I don't know why the previous owner didn't put them on, but I got some new boots for these new ones. That's that. I believe these are bump stops that just thread into a hole on the control arm. Gotta put this back in. Start threading these in, and then we're gonna go off. We measured how far they stuck out before, so we're gonna go off that as a reference point, but then they're gonna have to be adjusted because this adjusts the camber by pushing the lower control arm out, adjusts the caster. Okay. Not bad. Got our new joints, new coilover bearing, bump stop back on. So these things are basically ready to be bolted up on the car. All right, so it is time to put the rear calipers on the car. So I've got my adapter bolts and washers and stuff for the GK Tech dual caliper kit, the GK Tech braided brake line, new pads and hardware, and of course my rebuilt and painted calipers. So I'm gonna start getting all that together here, and we'll see how she's looking with 2 calipers instead of 1 in the back. Pads going in. Just like that. Now we can throw the caliper itself on. I've never had a hydro before, can't wait to feel what that's like. Swinging this thing the caliper sideways. For the hydro all on. Now I gotta put the caliper over here back. You see the lower control arms and calipers and stuff behind me for the front. As you saw last time, the rear is all together now. As long as they do, we officially have calipers in the rear of the car now. Hey guys, it's a new day of working on try to slide this up onto the chassis stud a little bit. And the other side on the front is together. So I'm working on this final corner here. You can see it's pretty much blank still. The knuckles off, the lower control arm and all that. Get the... You might not be able to hear me too well, ma'am. Get that up there. Through and super adjustable inner tie rod. So now this thing is loosely sitting on the car. No reason to snug it all down just yet. But now I can start getting this knuckle on, which the lower ball joint sits in that cup right there, and then the upper ball joint that's in the upper control. So now that the brakes are together on the driver front, this car is officially a car again. Okay, we got a lower control arm and a knuckle now. So now I'm just gonna snug all these nuts and bolts. We have to take the rest of this center console piece out, start loosening this up under here, and then there's some cutting that needs to be made to be able to fit the bracket and the hydro, because we have the inside mount
snugged everything
rather
down
than
on
the ones that sit outside, where then you have less leg room, or over here you have to reach way too far. The inside mounts are definitely ideal positioning. Brake rotors on. With the front and rear end suspension and brakes together, the last major thing to getting this thing track ready, aside from bleeding and adjustments, is getting this routed the lines for the hydro. That comes up through the middle to the T-fitting, and then the two that go to the calipers go down through the floor of the car. I kind of just drilled a hole on this side and put some like protective tape around it. I do need to get a grommet there, but then there's a factory grommet on this side that the hose goes through. So the hydro is officially plumbed, comes down. Everything's kind of loosely bolted together, and I just bench bled the master cylinder. Calipers right there. So we made some modifications here. We had to cut some brackets out of the center console. Unfortunately, my radio does. Now she fits. Only thing left is putting this on, which we did have to box out a spot for the hydro to stick through, of course. Console's all back together, and this is how we're looking. We got that touchscreen CarPlay radio and our brand new GK Tech Hydro setup. Everything hidden behind there. Everything, so we have the hydro around here is trimmed to fit in the car. Everything assembled here. The bracket mounts to She is all clean and ready to go to work with me tomorrow to dial in that alignment. A little more annoying for install, but well worth it in the end. It's also a dope place to have it, right there, shifter. On my journey with this car, bringing it to work to do the alignment on it, the check engine light was on, which I'm used to because it's catless, but it felt a little sluggish. When I scanned the code, it had a code P1084. The upgrades we're doing here, but as you can see, this is big ups. We're getting somewhere. It really is just some finishing touches. They actually have two of these on each side, one for the intake and exhaust cam on both banks. So I got this one out. So I brought the old drift car to work.
I'm
with
gonna take
me.
this sensor off of this engine.
Gave her a fresh
and
alignment.
clean it.
And sensors changed. I just topped off every fluid in the car: power steering, coolant, oil. I already have brand new brake fluid and clutch fluid in there. So this thing is pretty much track ready.
Valve
Last thing I have
timing,
to
I
do,
believe it is.
install this
I looked
brace that
into
goes
it on
under
the
the car
forums,
to
and
adjust
they were
the
saying it's this
caster on
sensor,
my,
which is like older style GK Tech kit. You actually have to drop the one end of the control arm down. These are in the way, so I left this brace off. I can put that brace back on, do a final bolt check of all the suspension and brakes, everything that I've touched on this car, and then we're gonna take this thing for a ride, and she will be track ready, and see if that code comes back when.
Quick recap for what we got done in this video. We took the Superlock lower control arms off in the front and put all new Heim joints and coilover bushings, lower ball joint, all that good stuff. We rebuilt the calipers all the way around, brand new pads and rotors. We set up the GK Tech Hydro, which is gonna work like a charm. So as you can see, we're in the drift car right now. I've been driving it around a little bit, just testing everything. Everything feels tight and snug. The hydro works, the steering, everything. I think we are officially track ready. A week from today,